Hey Wargamers, Games Workshop allowed YouTubers to start doing their 2019 chapter approved preview videos today. So that means that we have a whole new set of point changes to go through and figure out what they mean for our armies. So today I want to talk about Tau specifically. Now, I'm not one of those people that have access to a preview copy, but I have gone and watched a handful of people's videos that do have those preview copies, and I've been able to transcribe a lot of what I think the point changes are based on those videos. So that's what we're going to use to talk about today, is those transcribed values. They're not based on a hard copy book because I obviously don't have one yet, but I think it's a pretty good baseline. On that note, some of these values or some of these things may differ from some of the lists that you've seen going around. Some of those lists are basically fabricated leaks that came out like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, something like that, and they're just totally fake. They're not real. Some of those lists are made by people that actually do have preview copies, but still contain errors. And this list that I have could contain errors as well because it's based on those works. But some of those lists just didn't, compare to the appropriate, initial point cost or include things that are just basically wrong. So keep that in mind. Don't be, going out and buying a bunch of models just because you saw that, Unit X went down by 50 points when that might not totally be true. So, wait a week until you make any big decisions. So let's go through what I have been able to figure out are the point changes for Tau. This is in the codex only. There's actually no real substantive changes to the Forge World stuff, right? Arvanas, Ivaras, Tiger Sharks, Taunars. I couldn't see any changes in those unit entries based on the videos that I watched. I think O'Rely went down a little bit, down to 105. But overall, no big changes for Forge World, which was kind of disappointing. So we're going to focus on the Codex specifically here and really parse this out in terms of what I think are the better changes and some of the more irrelevant changes. All right, so let's go through the changes then, shall we? Starting with Crisis Suits, they are down to 24 points. Bodyguards are down to 27. Fusion Blasters are down to 14. Stealth Suits are down to 14 points as well. Kroot are down to 4. Razor Sharks are down to 60, and Sun Sharks are down to 70. Storm Surges are down to 160. Their Shield Generators are now down to 30 instead of 40. Pulse Blast Cannons are down to 20. Driver Cannons are down to 30. Cluster Rocket Systems are down to 15. Vespid are down to 11, Shapers are down to 20, Piranhas are down to 24, Stealth Drones are down to 6, Cyclic Ion Rakers are down to 20, Fusion Colliders are down to 25, and Heavy Rail Rifles are down to 25 as well. Sniper Drones are 16 apiece now. Farsight himself is at 110, so he has parity with Shadow Sun. Unshi is down to 50, Unva is down to 70, and Krutox Riders are down to 25. That's the list, as far as I can tell. So, a few things that I want to talk about based on that. One is that notice there's no changes to Shield Drones or Riptides or Fire Warriors or Firesight Marksmen or Counter Fire Blades. They're all the same, which, in some ways they're indirectly nerfed because other things got cheaper, but not really. Those are still really good options. Nothing here, I think, usurps any of those as core elements of your army. All these changes do are really giving you, slightly more viable options for alternatives. So it's not making Riptides and Shield Drones not good anymore, really. But things like Crisis Suits, I think, are in a much better position because of this. Crisis Suits now being at 24 and Fusion Blasters down at 14 mean that if you're like me and you like to bring Crisis Suits with Fusion Blasters and Cyclic Ion Blasters, you are saving a considerable amount. So if you're only bringing Fusion Blasters, that's 12 points a model plus the 3, so 15 points a Crisis Suit. That's a pretty good savings. As far as point efficiency goes, Fusion Blasters are still, of course, better than Cyclic Ion Blasters against things that don't have invulnerable saves, and Cyclic Ion Blasters are better than Fusion Blasters against things that do have invulnerable saves. And this point change doesn't change that. But it does mean that if you are running Fusion Blasters, you are being able to bring more other things as well. So that change itself is good, and I think will push Crisis Suits to be, again, a little bit more viable as a component of your army as opposed to what they were otherwise. Stealth Suits, I think, are a really big winner here. Being at 14 points, that means it's 22 points per model with a burst cannon. And that's that's really good, I think. Overall, they are very durable. Toughness 4, 3-up save, -1 to hit, 2 wounds, and at 22 points apiece. That's very affordable for a screen or something to disrupt enemy deployment. So I can see Stealth Suits becoming a much more viable component of lots of different armies because of that. This makes them a contender for positioning units like Pathfinders. I think this makes them a more viable option in comparison. And it just makes Stealth Suits a really cool component of your army. I am excited to see Stealth Suits on the tabletop because of this. Kroot, I guess, are kind of in a similar boat where, they're down to 4 points now, but they still lack in comparison to Fire Warriors or Stealth Suits or really a lot of different choices, right? They don't have the durability of Stealth Suits. They don't have the maneuverability or deployment options of Stealth Suits. I just think that Kroot need more than a point change to really be part of the army. If you are bringing Kroot at this point level, is probably as a as just something to have a bunch of bodies, really, and they can do that, but those bodies don't last very long, and that's unchanged. So I don't know. We did a video about this, right? Talking about what I think Kroot should look like. And we talked that 4 points is probably about where they should be when in comparison to other types of infantry units. And I still think that's true, but I think Kroot still need a big rework in order to make them a competitive choice against the rest of the codex. Sun Sharks, I'm happy that they're down to 70 points. One of the bigger issues with Sun Sharks is just their durability, and by reducing their points cost by 20 points, that helps offset that a little bit. Storm Surges are about 50 points cheaper, a little bit more if you're taking the shield generator, which you probably are. Does this mean that Storm Surges are going to replace Riptides? Again, no. I think the issues with Storm Surges are more tactical than points-based. But again, this reduction in points helps make them, more viable as a complement to the rest of your army. So I think Crisis Suits, Stealth Suits, Sunsharks, Storm Surges, probably going to see increased play because of this. Also, maybe Ghost Keels. Ghost Keels are saving about 20 points, but the issues with Stealth Suits really are, or not Stealth Suits, Ghost Keels is really that they are just really awkward tactically. So again, something that is good, right? Cheaper is better, but not something that I think is really addressing the main issues with Ghost Kills. Everything else, Vespid, Shapers, Piranhas, sniper drones, Unchi, Krutox, Unva. I'm not planning on bringing those things anyway. Even at a cheaper price, I just don't think they really work. It's nice that Farsight has parity with Shadow Sun at 110. So if you were looking to bring something to do, Master of War twice, you have Farsight as an option. Of course, Farsight has more going on than just that, but the benefits of Tau Sept still far outweigh those of Farsight Enclave. So in a competitive environment, it's basically irrelevant. So notably, the 8 didn't get a point reduction, even though Farsight and Fusion Blasters went down in price, which I think is kind of weird. But whatever. So that's what I think. I'm excited to see some of these changes manifest on the tabletop. Again, we'll kind of reevaluate this as the weeks and months pass by, and we have a better understanding of what this really means in context of the meta. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and of course, happy wargaming. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I really mean it when I say this channel is made possible by my supporters over on Patreon. If you enjoyed this video, consider joining our community over there as well. Special thanks to Shifty, Dallas Ellis, Jim Bob, Scott Heater, Nick Steele, Jared Egler, Tao Oswald, Jackson, Stephen Cohen, Eric Jackson, Zealous Brimstone, Evan Wells, and Chris Kessler.